Okay, Tube Timers, we're back yet again. This time we're going to restore an old RCA Victor model 641 table radio. You can see it's a pretty nice radio. It's an older radio, probably late 40s, early 50s, because the cabinet is made out of a plastic material, a composite. It looks like wood, but it ain't. The radio itself in front has an eye tube, which we'll see light up hopefully. And of course we have the standard broadcast band. We have the shortwave band 1, shortwave band 2, and it covers basically from 2.5 megahertz up to 22 megahertz. It's a pretty wide coverage, and it's kind of interesting. I would think the most interesting part of this will be the tuning of the radio, because we're going to have to go and verify all the settings of that device. All right, nevertheless, here we go, and let's take a look round back. Okay, we have to look around still in the front. A little premature in going to the back. I'm very excited about getting in the thing. It's very important when you're restoring old radios if you can find the schematic and instructions for this radio. This is the model 641. It has the electrical schematic, the tube layout, and the dial stringing. Dial stringing is no trivial task, by the way. You get it off without knowing how to restring it. Heaven help you, get it back on right. And then finally, there's the alignment instructions. So, off we go. Let's take a look at the front. The very first thing is on the left-hand side. This is the volume control and on-off switch. You can hear the switch. And we don't need that, so we're going to pull that off right now. This inner control is tone, treble and bass. This one is the radio phono switch. Yes, back in the day when you could have a single channel phonograph, you could play it through this high fidelity sound of this radio. Radio, and I've got to mind that switch too, because it'll be just like me to put it in the wrong position and then wondering why the radio doesn't work when it's in fact looking for something from the phonograph. Here's your main tuning dial, and you can see it changing the station pointer. We'll pop this little fellow off. Ugh. And finally, we get to the range switch, which is going to be the 3 positions selecting one of these bands. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we'll pop that off. I don't know what position it's on. I don't know if it tells us without knowing. There are decal legends down below, but boy, they're really worn thin. And the outer button, this outer button's kind of cool. It's what they call the micro tuning. And what the micro tuning is let's see if you can see it. This little fellow right down here. Do you see me moving along this thing? Because the bandwidth of the channels are so great, or the display is so great, this is a micro tuner, which can get you into the individual station tuning. Very important to have in a radio like this. It's kind of nice to see it. Okay, so now we got the knobs off. Now we're ready to go in the back. Ooh. Here's kind of a front outline so you know what all the buttons do. Tone, power, tuning, radio phonograph, micro tuning, which is that little dial across, and the range, which is the selection of the broadcast band or shortwave band. So let's take this back off. I'm going to have to get myself a little bucket pretty soon to get all these parts in, the cabinet parts. There we go. This will do nicely. Put these knobs in here. The screws and nuts. Basically, this thing will hold the cabinet hardware. This little bucket shall hold the cabinet hardware. There's a screw I think this one here is the only original screw. You can see it's kind of a panhead screw with a little washer built into it. Where the other ones are just regular old screws with regular old washers into it. Anything on the back of this? Nope, nothing interesting anywhere. So we'll put this aside for now. And we see the inside. So you can still see it pretty well. Because I have this handy dandy arrangement, I will push this in the front where the controls are. Don't see this very well, do we? Oh, that's all she wrote. Well, that's fine. Here we have the converter tube, which gets us our IF frequencies. Here's an IF amplifier, IF amp 1. There's only one. The audio detector, the rectifier tube, the audio output tube, big old capacitor, and here's the I-tube. Here's the socket for the I-tube, and here's the I-tube itself. Unplugged. I don't know why. That's a mediocre sign. This transformer, as you can see, is the speaker has its own output transformer built right onto it, and it's got a plug to. Oh, this is nice. This wire is stiff. I can hear it crackling when I move it. There's the headphone jack here, so you can listen in peace. I was worried about that because it's attached to the side, and I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to get it out. But I don't have to. I can just leave it right in. Now, because the speaker is connected with this cable, it's very nice because I'll be able to pull the chassis out and it still remain attached to the speaker somewhat. All right. Oh, here's the power cord. Power cord sticking out. Are we going to plug it in right away? No, we don't dare. We don't dare to plug it in right away. Why not? Well, here's a string. I don't know where this cord went to, but it was probably meant to hold something in place. Probably this thing. Keep it from touching onto a hot tube or something. The wires. Alrighty, so I'm going to push this back so that the tuning is all fully meshed. I'm not going to plug it in right away because gosh knows what would happen. I also want to take the opportunity to wipe down some of the dirt and see where we go from there. Okay, let's take this thing out of its case. This ought to be interesting. I've got a lot of room, a lot of space, and nowhere to put anything. Ugh. You can see there are 4 screws that have to come out. Oh, nice little. I've never seen this down before. Wonder what the voltage of this thing is. Does it say? I don't see if it says it. Nope. Oh, little Robinson screws to hold the chassis bolts in. Well, I'll take off 2 of these bolts. And then we will set the unit down so that I can take the rest of them off without causing some sort of injury to myself or the equipment. It's a Robinson bit. Fits very nicely in there. All I need is a socket bit for it. I'll take off number 1. I guess I'll put that in the chassis assembly hardware bucket too, because these are all having to do with assembling the chassis onto the radio. I'm going to take these off. Oh, this is nice to have a little lock washer in there. You can see what we got here for a screw. A walk washer, the Robinson square on top. I will loosen these but not remove them because I don't want the radio to fall out and onto itself, break a tube or something. So, what I'm going to do is set it back down and take it apart underneath You can't see it, but believe me, I'm going down and under. So I don't think you can see me. No, probably not worth fooling with it. Okay. Shoot, I'm just going to get right down on the floor. No sense being proud about this. I'm down here, people. Someplace. Dang it, I dropped my bit and I can't find it. I dropped the bit of the screwdriver and I can't find it. Of course, I'm blind as a bat. I think I'm going to have to go to the doctor pretty soon for an eye exam. Okay, here's screw number 3. And screw number 4. Okay. Now we should be able to pull this chassis out and see what we have to deal with. Does it slide out? Oh, it slides out unencumbered. Better take this off though, this plug here for this, because these are always hard to get out. Oh, this is tough to get out of here. Holy mackerel. I'm trying to use a screwdriver in here and I hope I don't regret it. That's tough. Let's see if I put this over here a bit. Maybe this will get a little better room. You get a little stubby screwdriver. Maybe that'll help. If the cat doesn't get in the way too bad. Whoa, cat. You scared me and scared the cat. Poor kitty. All right. A little screwdriver. Maybe we can get this out with a screwdriver. Coax it gently as possible. Oh, it's coming. There we go. Jesus, Murphy, for such a little connector, it's a toughie. So this is the connector, and around in here is the socket, and it just was hard to pull out. So let's get this case out of here. Oh, it's filthy in there. Absolutely filthy. We'll get this case out of the way for now. See the filth down there? I'm going to take a little time and clean her up. Okay. Now we're down to brass tacks. This tool's a little organized here. The very first thing I'm going to do is give it a quick once-over. Now, I know where the tubes go, so I have no problem with taking them out and putting them in a safe place for now. Look at this one. Notice this one has a shield over it so that external fields don't bother this converter tube. First IF, or the IF. 6 SK7, pretty common tube. This is the 6 SQ7. And the 6SQ7 is the audio frequency detector. I should know that. This is a 6X5 GT regulator. Look at the top of this. It's got a pretty good burn spot in it. I think you can see it. Ooh. See that? That's deposited a lot of filament metal on the glass of that top of that glass tube. And finally, the audio driver and other RCA Victor 6V6. What I'm going to do is take this and test the tubes. I'll test them offline because that's what about as interesting as, well, maybe I'll do one just for the heck of it, but it's not all that interesting. Okay, so now we have the chassis apart. Let's go for the underneath peak. The peak underneath. Well, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad, I guess. See if we can get this up, put up so you can actually see it to a certain degree. Alrighty, let's zoom in a bit. Let the autofocus catch up. Alright, we get it. Oh, we get pretty much all on the screen here. Maybe another little twist up to get a little more. See if I can get it into sync for you somehow. Well, I'll have to do like that, I guess. Well, it doesn't look terribly interesting in here. Let's point out a couple of interesting things. This is part of the tuning system right here. This is the RF stage up in front. This is where it's going to actually receive the radio signals. This is where it's going to convert it to an IF frequency. This is the IF transformer. Here is the audio detector, the rectifier with all its leads going to the transformer, and the output tube that displays it. So it's not a terribly complicated radio. These capacitors, well, I guess they're all right. I don't know what values they are, but they're okay. This large 2-watt 10K, I think it's a 10K. It looks a little toasty. We might change that out. This is the phonograph input. There's your volume and tone controls are over here. Your band switches are here, and your tuning is up in here. Oh, little lamps. What numbers? These are number 47s. Gosh, that's got to be the most common lamp that there is out there, number 47. Looks kind of burned out, but it's hard to say. It's got a lot of coloring on the inside. There's 2 little lamps. Oh, that's nice. Alrighty, do we plug this thing right in? Stick it in the receptacle? No, there are tests we have to make. The very first test I want to do is take a look at get out the schematics. So we're going to start from the beginning. What I'm going to do is ring out a few of these lines to see whether or not there's a short to the core or that they have the right resistance. Now, fortunately, they've written resistances on here. This says 18 ohms, and this is 19.6 ohms. Be kind of curious. Oh, there's a 122/30 volt switch in here someplace, or they say that there is. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Eek. Yeah, I don't see it at all. Oh boy. Look what someone's done here. They've obviously replaced the cord, and they just taped together these leads. This tape is just about shot. Let's see if there's anything to it. Did they solder it at least? I think so. We'll cover that back up right now for safety's sake. Keep an eye on it though, because we don't want to be touching on any of that stuff. Up there, it fell right off right away. I'm gonna have to get a wire nut and put it on there, or as they call them here in Canada, Marette. A Marette. Okay, so we get a little wire nut to put on there. I think when I finish restoring this thing, I'm going to put this on a terminal block somewhere. I'll put it on a small terminal so that it's safe. But for now, we'll just put this on here, just to keep the wire from being touched accidentally. Okay, so what are we going to test? The very first thing we're going to do, we're going to test this transformer, primary to secondary shorts. Each one of these primaries will be measured for resistance, and we'll check it from primary to secondary and vice versa. We will also check this transformer and see if it looks okay. All right. So let's get some equipment out. Ohms. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is check the continuity of the cord. It's open. And I have how many ohms? This is dumping around because of the contact. I hope. 100 ohms. I don't believe that at all. It should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 ohms. Well, we'll dig a little deeper into that. Boy, this cord looks bad. Holy mackerel. 10 ohms. I believe that, because they're both about 18 and 19 ohms, so 10 ohms is probably about right. That's what I expect. The reason why I can say I know that is because they have very kindly put the resistances on the instructions, the schematic, so I can read it. Okay, so we think we're okay on the inside. Now what we're going to do is check for leakage from the transformer to the case. Now I should do this with a high voltage supply. That looks good. Now we'll do this one. That looks good. We're going to measure across the rectifier tube. We will go plate to plate to measure the resistance, DC resistance of the primary. It should be 338 ohms maybe from plate to plate. And plate is 3 to 5. 3 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be 300 and some ohms here. A little bit on the shy side, but I guess that's all right. It wants 336. It's showing 298. It's a little bit off, 7 or 8%, but maybe that's okay. We'll then go check the filament windings, which goes from 7 to ground. 5, 6, 7. That should be low anyways. And it is very low, 0.2 ohms. That's the filament winding. Primary to secondary. Let's see if we get any primary to secondary shorts. We'll go plate to plate again. Oh, it looks good. Gosh, it's easier to see on the camera than it is on the darn radio. So, okay, the power supply seems to have rung out okay. Do Do we dare plug it in? Maybe. Everything looks kind of good. Let's see where the capacitor is. The filter capacitor is up here somewhere. Up in here. I don't think I see any bursting ooze coming out of there. Doesn't mean we won't get bursting ooze when we turn it on. So, okay. Let's power it up. All right, we're back. I've done a bunch of things, so no one get upset here, please. What I've done is I brought in a auto transformer, a variac, so that I can ease the voltage up when we first turn it on. And back here is an isolation transformer, 150 watt isolation transformer. This will keep the neutral off the ground when I'm working around here, just for an added measure of safety. Still is dangerous to touch, mind you, but it's a matter of safety. Okay, so what we have here is I took the speaker out because I wanted to have a little more flexibility, and I've plugged it back into where it belongs. If you noticed, I put a piece of cardboard over the cone and used some wire ties to hold it in place. Why? Because it would be just like me to poke a hole in it, and then I'd be bummed about that, and I'd have to find another one. This is a special transformer. It's more than an output transformer. It's also the power choke. This transformer acts like a choke as well as an audio output matching transformer to match the impedance of the speaker to the output impedance of the tube. So, with that being said, we're in pretty good shape here. What do you think? Should I plug it in? I don't hear anything. All right, I'll plug it in. This is a little bit spooky because I'm going to just plug this in here to begin with. All right, I'm at 0 volts. I'm going to turn it on and listen. More than this, I'm at 0 volts, so I should be okay to tip it upside down on its side or someplace like that. And we're going to watch and listen. We're going to listen for any crackly sounds, meaning smoke is imminent, or we're going to listen, look for light. We don't want to see any light. Okay, so it's on. Is this on? I don't know. Well, let's just see which one is which. Oh, there we go. It's off. That's on. Okay, so now we turn it up. Oh, by the way, before we go any farther, I pulled out the eye tube. Things are kind of dirty, so they don't look really clean or proper or whatever. But I'm going to put this in anyways, knowing I've got 20 volts on the circuit coming in somewhere, which is no laughing matter because I might get a shock off the transformer. So, let's see, how does this plug in? What are the two bigger holes? I think these are the two bigger holes. Oh, these are the two bigger holes. Way the heck over here. There we go. We'll just leave this here for now. And right now we just want to see if things light up and whatnot. This will give us a filament indication. It will not light because there's no secondary voltages in here, no higher voltages. So we're going to turn it on. I have a black dot over here which takes me up to line voltage. So I'm about at line voltage inside here. I think it's on. Doesn't make a sound because there's no you can't see it, or maybe you can. Yeah, you can a little bit right there. You can see the filaments lighting up. You can see a little red glow there. So that's a good sign. So let's take a look and see what our voltages are. My two plate voltages are right here and right here. Ooh, 518 volts. We got a good B+. Okay. So now what we're going to do is turn it down again. And I'm just trying to slowly power this thing up so I don't destroy the whole thing in a big burst of flame. The next thing I'm going to do is put the regulator, the voltage rectifier tube in there, which I think was the 6x5. This is the voltage regulator tube. Let me get a little bit of Windex on this thing to clean it off. I will be very careful around the tube marking where it says 6, because this sometimes washes off, and so I really don't want to do anything but just rub it dry. There we go. (6x5) is still visible. Tube is cleaned off. You can still see the 6x5, although you probably can't. You might see the badge a little bit over here in the reflection. But this is the rectifier tube. Let's put this in and see what we get. And I think while I do that, I'm going to clean this eye tube. Unfortunately, this eye tube is one of the rarest to find, the 6U5. They're just not available these days. I don't know. Just the way it is. Tubes are gone. The skeletons of people remain that actually built the things or worked on it. Just the skeletons remain. Okay, so here's our tube. We'll turn this on again. Up to our line voltage. Look what I see here. The little wire nut popped off. But it's a good time to check my input line voltage anyways, I guess, at this point. And we see 119, 120 volts. That's pretty good. Let me get another wire nut for that thing. Got a little smaller one this time. Yes, there's line voltage on it, but yeah, how easy would it be for me just to turn this off? I'm violating multiple rules of conduct here. We'll turn that off just to be safe. I was violating multiple rules of conduct using two fingers or two hands on a project. Working with something powered on. Oh, it broke right off. And it broke right off in there. Well, that mustn't have been a very good connection. The power is in fact off. And now we're going to have to retrim these wires. Retrim them and put something in there that we can use. There we go. God, these wires are old. They're dirty. These wires are dirty. I.e. corroded. Boy, this insulation is just thin. Whoa. Look at this old insulation. It's got an inner core. You've got the outer cloth core, or insulation. Now you have this inner core. And this inner core is tough. Like I said, tough. Now, do you think I can coax this little piece out of here? I hope so, because it was the last one I had like that. Let's see what we have here. Where's my poking stick? There she be. Let's see if we can coax this out of here. What I'm doing is sticking it in and just kind of rotating it counterclockwise to see if I can get it the screw to actuate and pull it out, screw itself out. Ah, success. Here's a little slug of a wire. And we now have an empty wire nut. So let me put this in. We'll give her a little twist. And this time I won't squeeze the living daylights out of it or twist the living daylights out of it. I'll just give it a gentle, are you on there, twist? Yep. Doesn't come off. Nope. And I did check to see if it came off last time, and it didn't. But what the heck. I'll get this eye tube in a way you can actually see it. You know, sometimes I wonder if I really think about stuff. I'm telling you. Let's just get it in one of the vise here. It's a pretty good holder. Okay. The tube is there. The world is there. We turn it on and we wait. What are we waiting for? Well, what I want to do is see if this tube lights up and see if I get high voltage out of this thing. My rectifier is lighting up because I can see it. The chassis is ground, as indicated by the circuit diagram. And now we're going to look for some high voltage. Can we find high voltage? And high voltage would be on pin, it's a DC voltage, and it would be on pin, let's see, 8. Pin 8 of the rectifier tube. Oh, isn't that just lovely? There's a bare wire that goes right over the top of that pin. I really am nervous to stick anything in there. I think this goes to it too, I think. Ooh, 285 volts DC. Can you see that? 285 volts DC. So the thing is rectifying. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. Put in the full complement of tubes. Now that I know we have a reasonable high voltage and it doesn't seem to be anything shorted, let's stick all our tubes back in. We're going to give them all a quick wipe because they're filthier than the dickens. The 6V6. That's off. And that's all the way down to 0. There we go. In goes the audio output tube. Now we have a black Mariah. The 6SQ7. Curious fact, on these black tubes, the badge gives you an idea of what the tube number is. But did you know? Let's see if we can focus this on this a little better here. There's a 6SQ7. I know you can't see it. Sorry about that. It's just yucky. Yucky lighting. I can see a little better. But here's the magic spot. In a lot of these old tubes, it's also stamped 6SQ7 on the base. So if this is obliterated, maybe you can find it on the base. So the 6SQ7 is which one? The 6SQ7 is the detector. 6SQ, there's a 6SK7, so I gotta be very careful I don't get them confused up. So 6SQ7 goes into here. The next tube is the 6SK7, which is an IF amplifier, IF tube. Get this cleaned off nicely. That's why I'm being quiet and out of frame. This one goes in between the 6SK7. Goes in between the two transformers. There's transformer 1, there's transformer 2. And it goes into here like such. And then finally the RF amp converter tube, which goes on the very top up here. It's up in here someplace. Up there. Just gotta see where the keyway is. There we go. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. See, now at this point, we'll turn it on. And we'll run it up. And we'll wait for things to warm up and see if we get any indications at all. And we're waiting quietly and pleasantly. We look to see if our filament is lit up in both the rectifier and this tube. This tube should be showing all green. It is not. So either the tube is bad, which it probably is, or there's no high voltage here. Anyways, this is the volume knob. I touch it, it's okay. Ooh. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Yeah, there's some sound, some scratchy noise when I move the potentiometer. But that's it. So, I dare say that there's either a bad tube or tubes, high voltages crunched down somehow, or something else is not working. I don't know. But anyways, tube timers, that's enough. This is a good time to cut it out right now. Let's see how she goes, and we'll be back later when we get into the actual troubleshooting. I will test the tubes before I come back. We meet up again so that we know we're working with good tubes. So, tube timers, take care, be kind to each other, and please tune in for the next episode. Oh, by the way, if you like it, hit the thumbs up button. It gives me a good idea who likes the things. And if you don't like it, don't do anything at all, because I don't want to hear about it. Take care now.